Kelly is the 13th greatest film star of all time. That incredible achievement becomes positively staggering when taking into account the fact that she appeared in just 11 films over a career that spanned a mere 5 years. She was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1929 to a self-made millionaire and a health and fitness teacher. She paid her way through drama college by modeling, and after gaining experience in live television, she landed her first starring role in 1952's High Noon. She went on to win a Golden Globe for Mogambo the following year. The year after that, she won the leading actress Oscar for the black and white film Country Girl. And by the time she retired from making films at the age of 26, she'd starred in the classic musical High Society and in 3 films with Alfred Hitchcock. One of those films, To Catch a Thief, features a famously spooky scene where Grace speeds recklessly along a spiraling strip of road not far from the spot where she was to meet her death some 30 years later. Her co-star in the film, Cary Grant, became a close friend, and after a lifetime of sharing the screen with Hollywood's greatest leading ladies, he had no trouble in naming Grace as his favorite actress. Grace gave it all up to marry Prince Rainier, ruler of the tiny but outrageously wealthy Principality of Monaco in Europe. It was billed as the marriage of the century and sparked a global media frenzy. But all the flashing cameras and fanfare in the world couldn't silence the speculation about the fledgling princess's colourful past. Tabloid speculation about Grace's affairs dated back to High Noon, when it was claimed she was not only carrying on with her married co-star Gary Cooper, but that she was also sleeping with the film's director, Fred Zimmerman. During the making of Dial M for Murder, she caused a furore by allegedly seducing co-star Ray Milland, who was 24 years her senior and married to the very popular Muriel Milland. When Muriel, a close friend of gossip columnist Hedda Hopper, found out about the affair, she walked out of the marriage, and Grace was branded a homewrecker, despite her claims that Ray had pretended he and Muriel were already separated. Next on Grace's hit list was her Country Girl and High Society co-star Bing Crosby. The two were said to have started an affair while Bing's then-wife Dixie was battling terminal cancer. To complicate matters further, Bing was also allegedly seeing Catherine Grant at the same time, despite the fact that Grace had her heart set on becoming his next wife. During her short film career, she also had to endure rumors she'd had an abortion as a result of a relationship with Russian fashion designer Oleg Cassini. With so much gossip and speculation dogging her in Hollywood, the prospect of a fresh start as a European princess was no doubt a very attractive one. On hearing of her engagement, Alfred Hitchcock was quoted as saying he was very happy that Grace had found herself such a good part. However, despite its billing as the wedding of the century, the courtship between the prince and the film star seems to have fallen well short of a fairy tale romance. In fact, it smacked of a good old-fashioned arranged marriage. Their first meeting was during a photo shoot for French magazine Paris Match. The story goes that she was late, he was later, and that she hardly paid him any attention. Yet 8 months later, the prince was embarking on a trip to America. The press was abuzz with speculation that he was on a mission to find a wife, due to the pressure placed on him to produce an heir in order to prevent Monaco from reverting to France. He visited Grace and her family, and after just 3 days, the prince's proposal of marriage was accepted, and preparations for the regal extravaganza were underway. Grace was given a right royal send-off. Thousands of fans turned out to wave her off from New York Harbor in 1956. Accompanied by her parents, her pet Hungarian Vizsla, and 80 pieces of luggage, not to mention several hundred reporters, she set sail for the French Riviera aboard the ocean liner SS Constitution. After 8 days at sea, she was mobbed by thousands of adoring future subjects, clamoring to welcome her to her new home. Grace's wedding dress was designed by MGM's 2-time Academy Award winner Helen Rose. It took 36 seamstresses working on it for 6 weeks to produce the final stunning result of silk, taffeta, tulle and lace. The ceremony boasted 600 guests, including Ava Gardner, Cary Grant, Gloria Swanson and the Aga Khan, and was broadcast on television to an estimated 30 million people. After the celebrations, Rainier and his new princess set off on a 7-week Mediterranean cruise aboard the prince's yacht. Getting straight down to the business of producing an heir to the throne, Grace gave birth to Princess Caroline just 9 months later. A year after that, the birth of Prince Albert was welcomed with a 101-gun salute. Their last child, Princess Stephanie, was born 7 years later. Pictures of the growing family were staple fodder for news bulletins and glossy magazines around the world for the next 20 years. And Princess Grace never faltered in her role as the prince's consort and loving mother of his royal children. However, many of her old Hollywood friends felt the weight of her sacrifice. Prior to marrying the prince, her passion for acting had been so consuming that she insisted on interweaving her filming schedule with regular stints in the theatre. But shortly after her marriage, Prince Rainier banned the screening of her films in Monaco. Although he did reluctantly consent to her starring in Hitchcock's 1962 thriller Marnie, the public outcry was so intense she pulled out of the project. A last-ditch attempt to coax her back to Hollywood came from director Herbert Ross in 1977, who wanted to cast her in The Turning Point, but Rainier allegedly scotched the idea. 5 years later, Princess Grace was driving with 18-year-old Stephanie from their country home when the car left the road and plunged 100 feet down the mountainside. Grace was found unconscious while Stephanie suffered a serious cervical fracture. The media's first suggestions were that Stephanie may have been driving, or that Grace, famous for her bad driving, had simply lost control of the Rover. However, the autopsy revealed that she had in fact suffered a stroke while at the wheel. She died in hospital the next day at the age of 52, with her husband and 3 children at her bedside. The world may not have fallen for the fairy tale at the start of the royal marriage, but after witnessing the couple's unceasing devotion to each other over the course of a quarter century, the story of Grace and her prince had become a Mills and Boon classic. 2 years after her death, Grace's grieving husband inaugurated a public rose garden in her honor.
C'est pour ça que ça devient une grande histoire, une histoire magique.
That is why it became a magic love story. It was really love at first sight. They got married and had 3 children. They succeeded to be happy. And the glory of Grace Kelly splashed on Monaco. Prince Rainier never married again. And 23 years later, at the age of 81, he died of lung, heart and kidney failure. He was buried next to Grace in the Grimaldi family vault in Monaco's St. Nicholas Cathedral.